Drivers, start your combustion machines up.
You are now listening to the fastest show on IE Sports Radio. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr. and I'm welcoming you to take another lap of the extra mile for tonight, June the 6th, 2019. And I'm having a little bit of issue with the computer, almost falling on my face. All right, there we go. I want to say that was one of the most unique Gentlemen Start Your Engines calls I think we've had so far in the 90-something episodes of the Extra Mile. And I also want to welcome in first my co-hosts, Caitlin Seam, and a guy we haven't heard for a little while now, Mr. Michael Ward. First of all, you two, welcome in.
Thank you.
It's been a while.
Yep. We have definitely missed you, Michael. And secondly, we are the inaugural show to be live streaming on the IE Sports Radio YouTube channel, as that just got started earlier this week. So, for everyone listening to this either live or recorded on YouTube, welcome into the majesty that is IE Sports Radio. This is the Extra Mile, and I think you're going to enjoy this. We got a lot of racing topics to cover over the next 90 minutes, so let's go ahead and get started. But before that, of course, got to talk about some things going on in our lives not related to racing. And I'm going to go over to Caitlin as you and Couch, you guys have been going around snapping up a whole bunch of photos down there in North Carolina. You guys look like you've been having a lot of fun out there modeling.
Yeah, it's a new venture I decided to start. I had enough people kind of nagging on me to get it going. And Couch had started with some other models and had kind of mentioned it before. So I was like, well, we might as well test it out and see what's going. And it's actually gone really well so far. And so actually this past Tuesday, I went up to Salisbury, which is an hour north of me. And we hummed around the city up there. We did a 90s grunge photo shoot. So I had a ton of fun doing that. I had such an attitude halfway through this stupid shoot because I was listening to way too much Nirvana and Bush to be good for me. And it was a ton of fun though. And yeah, so it's just one of those new things kind of starting. If you're going to take over the world, you might as well do it in all aspects. So that's been a lot of fun, a lot of different kind of things, kind of pushing myself out of my comfort zone a little bit. And, you love sports and you love racing and, might as well try something else too to add to the resume.
Well, it'll definitely look good. You can find those photos on Couch's new website on Facebook, which I believe is Kraut, and I have to look this up because I don't want to get this wrong. So I will definitely make sure to shout that out before the end of the show. And Michael, we have not seen you in a while. How you been, man?
I've been so-and-so. It's been a lot of work. I work in the garden center, so it's a lot of pulling carts and it's a lot of heavy work, and I've been apologizing, but sometimes I just come home and I just fall right asleep, so I apologize for missing these last couple of weeks.
Well, hey, you're back, and that's all that matters. And that site, I just want to make sure it was correct. It is, in fact, Couch Crew Chief Photography on Facebook, so look that up. You're going to enjoy the photos that he has taken. He's also got some pictures from I don't remember what size sprint cars these were, but the little mini sprints and I'm spacing on the name, so we're just going to continue. But he took some pictures from the mini sprint track, and those are great. And speaking of which, before we get into the topics, I actually got a chance last weekend to check out the quarter midget racetrack outside of Hagerstown Speedway, which is literally right next to Hagerstown Speedway. And the first thing I will say is, them kids, they got setups out there that'll make the late model guys blush. There is so much that goes into the little kid racing. And it
First
is
off,
absolutely
it's
ridiculous.
the cutest thing ever, though.
Yes.
Like, it's adorable. Like, I think that's like was the first thing. Like, I'm like, yeah, it's racing and it's cool because these are like the drivers of our future. But you guys are so darn cute right now. It's adorable. And like, if you think about it, it takes so much, like, even like little kid balls to like do it. You have other kids just, hitting balls off of a T-ball, or you have like little kids chasing a soccer ball around in like a little cluster. And then you have these kids who are literally in machines driving around trying not to kill each other.
It was funny,
it takes some cojones,
it was funny as well because there was a red flag situation. One of the kids stopped, and the other kid actually runs into the back of him. So I'm sitting right there where this happens, and the kid that gets run into, like, throws his hands up, flips his visor up, trying to turn around and look at the idiot that hit him. And the kid back that accidentally hit him was mortified, was like, sorry. He's like, man, what are you doing? I'm like, oh my goodness, they already got the adult tempers flaring in these cars. So I'm going to check those out again. I'll be running those again June 15th and 16th. I'm going to try and go up on the 15th, go up early so I can see the little kids and the adults run that weekend or that day. So that should be a lot of exciting. If you want to check them out, check out the Hagerstown Quarter Midget Association on Facebook, and you can find more information on that. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into tonight's show. And we're going to start with Pocono first because I don't want to leave this race to the end or we're going to run out of steam quickly because not a lot happened in this event other than Kyle Larson choked away yet another opportunity for a good finish because that just seems to be his MO at this point. And also the fact that Kyle Busch picks up the win, but ladies and gentlemen, I think we know where this aero regulation is at its weakest, and it's on hot days at racetracks 2 miles and longer.
I'm just not very Pocono. I'm just saying, after this race, could you really imagine doing this 2 days in a row? Because that's what we get next year. Woo!
I forgot that next year
we don't know how long the races are. Again, woo!
If they're 2 400 milers, I'm out.
Guys, I don't know. And I have a bad feeling about it. I really do. I really have a bad feeling about it.
I mean, the way I look at it, it should be 2 250-mile races. That's 100 laps and be done with it.
How about 2 200-mile races?
That's even better,
Pocono does not need to be 500 anything.
Why don't you give them 40 laps and tell them to go for it?
Perfect.
That's actually the edge of a fuel run, but I don't know if they'll do that in the Cup cars. But Pocono is just not a good track for stock cars. It's flat and it's single grooved. These cars don't like that. They need banking to put on a good race.
Well, and it's just like we've discussed before. It's just like the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Like IndyCar, it's exciting, it's thrilling, they can make something happen, but stock cars just are not quite created with that type of environment in mind.
No.
And so the thing is while yes, it does in a sense challenge the drivers for the fact that a sport like NASCAR is so much more focused on the entertainment value of it all, you lose followers. You lose fans because there's nothing exciting in it for us. Mm-hmm. At least on road courses, it's entertaining because it's fun watching these gigantic metal boxes go around on a road course. I truly enjoy it, minus the rover, but that's a different issue in and of itself. Even though I think I'm going to that race this year, maybe it'll change my mind. But it's exciting. I really do enjoy watching these cars on road courses because I think it pushes the limit just enough. But while it challenges the drivers extremely, especially, I mean, if you think about it, the 90s, even in the early O's, you had how many relief drivers that came in for it? You didn't run the race. You had somebody else come in and drive the race for you. because it was that much of a challenge. And where now it's really pushing these drivers to have to be much more multiverse in the form of how you're going to race this car, kind of like they do with IndyCar. But when you go to Pocono or Indy, it's not really challenging enough for them, minus the fact that you pray to God you can stay in that one groove, and then it just puts everybody to sleep.
Yeah.
It puts you to sleep. You can watch the start of the race, fall asleep, and watch the last 10 laps, and you've missed nothing. So why is it, you know what I mean? I guess, I don't know. There's so many better racetracks out there in the world to put these cars on.
Well, this track at least proved something, is that we've learned where this package is not good, which is a hot, slick, flat racetrack 2 miles to 2.5 miles in length. Here's a problem with that. We're going to Michigan this weekend.
Which used to be so much better before the repave. I still haven't forgiven them for this.
Yeah, the repave has not helped that track, but it's going to be a flat, well, not really flat, but it's a 2-mile oval. It does have banking, but it's a single groove racetrack.
Can we just make a little asterisk so I can defend my poor MIS and say that it used to be a one groove racetrack because the entire track used to be a groove because they could literally run everywhere?
Yeah.
It used to be an amazing track, and I'm still salty about this.
Yeah, they used to run from the wall to the little white line. And it used to be great racing, and then they paved it, and it's been single groove ever since. They have not been able to run in a top line on that track at all. And I guess it's because of probably the mix they have put on the track, but it makes this track doesn't weather. And that's the big problem with Michigan. The track doesn't weather. Now, weathering won't help Pocono because it's a single groove racetrack. They paved it, and it just made it, well, a single groove racetrack. So nothing really helps there. And it's a unique racetrack for IndyCar fans. You know, the corners that are reminiscent of the old Trenton Speedway, as well as Indianapolis and the Milwaukee Mile. That's great for them. It doesn't work for stock cars. And when they decide to shorten or do whatever they're going to do this schedule in 2021, this might be a track that should probably be on the chopping block. I'm going to be completely honest. It's probably a track we don't need to run at.
I mean, I'm not going to argue with that, I guess. But I feel like we've had this conversation before on the show where we've discussed, like, what if we're cutting down races, what tracks could go, which ones deserve double. I don't know. I just remind me of a race where Pocono was worth having. I mean, even one race over two. Like, yeah, there's a part of me that's always really, like, it's excited just because Martin Truex Jr. won off of his drought there for the, that's where his, like, first drought win came from. But, I mean, other than that, it really, and even then, I'm just like, you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. It's just one of those races where it's just, like, I can't remember a Pocono race that I was like, hell yeah, that was a good race.
Yeah.
Like, I can't. Unless you can think of something, because it's like I literally just draw a blank on it. I'm just like, Like, the only thing that's, like, special about it is that each turn is a little bit different. But literally all they did was mimic 3 different other racetracks.
There have been some good finishes, but I can't think of a Pocono race that made me say, oh my goodness, I want them to race here again tomorrow. Like, there's never been a race like that. Like, we've had some good finishes at Pocono, but we've never had good complete races.
Yeah, and you can say that about Michigan. I struggle a little bit thinking about that with Indy, because I remember some unfortunate wrecks, like when Truex and Jr. wrecked in the front stretch together. But, like, I can't even think of, like, a race as a whole that I was like, hell yeah, that race.
One of the Michigan races I think this was... Somebody ran out of fuel. This is in the early 2000s, and I think it may have been Newman that ran out of fuel coming to the end of one of the races, ended up getting passed for the win, I think by Dale Jarrett or somebody. Like, that
Yeah,
was incredible.
Yeah, it was Newman.
Yeah.
I forget which year it is, but yeah, you're pretty much correct on that one. I remember the race where it was.
That, I'm going to check it out here on Google while
and
we
then the
talk.
other Pocono race I was thinking about was the one that Steve Park got injured at.
Oh, yeah, when Steve tumbled Alice. That was a Allison-esque crash on the backstretch with him in the 8. That was horrible.
That was horrible. Is it bad that the only things we can remember about this track are the wrecks?
I think that is the biggest problem with this racetrack, is that the only wrecks that I remember are the wrecks where somebody almost died because they lost the brakes going into turn 1. Because Jeff Gordon lost the brakes there, Bubba lost the brakes there last year, Richard Petty hit the wall there hard way back when. It's just not a good track. And Couch on Twitter, at Couch Crucci, we were just speaking about earlier, he says, ARCA is fun at Pocono, otherwise it's just not great for stock cars. I don't mind one race a year there, but that's it. It's a unique track and it's a driver crew chief track, not a fan entertainment track. No, it is not.
Yeah, it's and all of the races end up being about fuel strategy. It's never a down the wire type of finish.
No, which that is great for the strategy side of the sport because you really get to see who's the best crew chief here. But when you're trying to keep fan attention, this track doesn't work. It really doesn't. Now we're going to Michigan this weekend, and we've already talked a little bit about this track. But the last time this aero package was used on a 2-mile oval, it was California, and California went back to old California, meaning wake me up at the end of the race, California. Now, we've already talked about the issues with Michigan only being one groove, as it is. Do we think this race is going to be any better?
No, sadly not.
I will give Michigan this. At least it's getting better over time. Like, it's slowly getting its groove back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can at least. I mean, Pocono, it's not ever going to be anything but a one groove. But at least Michigan, it's slowly, like, the longer, it's just taking forever. But the longer that they're running and the longer it's getting weathered, we have stretched it a little bit. We did see it a little bit better last year, so I am hoping that this year it'll be pushed a little bit more. I just think it's taking a long time to age.
Well, I'm hoping we get proven wrong where this is one of these races on Sunday that's going to be pants on head amazing, but I'm not feeling it, y'all. I really am not feeling that this is going to be an exciting race. I mean, this could be a race where Kyle Larson finally gets his stuff together, but Larson has yet another incident late in this race when he got into Clint Boyer, ended up in the wall after late race restart. The only thing consistent with Larson is inconsistency. Now, I know he went out and won a World Outlaw sprint car race over the week, but I need him to start focusing on the Cup car, if that makes sense. Like, I need him to be running laps in the simulator somewhere in iRacing, figuring out, just getting used to the car and figuring out what he can do to tell his crew chief how to make this car better in the late run. And he's got to work on limiting these mistakes. Like, I know he loves the sprint car, but the sprint car ain't paying you money. Or, I don't want to say it's not paying you money, but that's not what's paying you bills right now. And I need him to
you just got to work on the focus. I think that's one of the reasons Casey Kane stepped away too, because he really did. He's putting all of his attention into his son, but also he's really putting everything into his sprint car team. Mm-hmm. And I think you have to be able to make that decision.
He's got to make the decision. What does he want to do? Do you want to be a sprint car driver, or do you want to be NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series or Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series driver, because it's really hard to do both. You do one, but you can't do both. And Couch actually says Larson is great in every form of racing except stock cars, which I think is weird because usually that transfers over having to control the car, learning the car control. Now this year, a lot of that's been taken away with the higher downforce, but even the last few years, he would get a couple of wins, and other than that, he would struggle at some point of a race, and that'd be it for him. So, Michael, what do you think about all this?
Sorry about that. I think he needs to, what you said, is just go run some laps, go on a simulator, speak to his crew chiefs, engineers, and just figure stuff out, because that's the only way you're going to get faster is by trying to figure out what you did wrong and what you need to do right. So I think he just needs to run some laps, think about what the car needs, what he needs, what the team needs that weekend, think about the track, and get back together, because he is a great driver. I'm somewhat of a fan of his, but he just needs to perform, and I think he just needs to focus on NASCAR and not sprint cars. Sprint cars are fun, but you're a professional racing car driver. You gotta get on the stick.
Yeah, gotta start figuring out what you want to do for the rest of your career and make it happen. But another driver that made some headlines post-race, of course, was the other Kyle Busch, and he was asked about the aero package and was a bit flippant with flippant is not the correct word. He basically told people, stop effing asking me that question, because like every other week he's being asked about the aero package because, Kyle's a great soundbite on it, but it's finally started to annoy him, and it's like, dude, you opened up this can of worms, now you gotta eat it. If you didn't want to be asked about it 7,000 times about it, don't be so bombastic when you talk about it. But every other week when you were asked about it, you were bombastic about it. So, of course, everybody's going to ask you to try and get that soundbite. Now, unfortunately, this week's soundbite was somebody getting their head bitten off, but they still got the soundbite. And he kind of got his point across that he does not like this package one bit.
Kyle Busch is great until he opens his mouth.
Yes. I cannot fault the driving talent. And I've said this before. He's got a Hall of Fame talent and a starting park attitude. That's how I feel about Kyle Busch.
I feel like, what I feel like Kyle Busch is, though? This is how I feel with him, is I feel like he's like that kid who in high school took all of like the advanced honor roll AP classes in like sophomore year, and so by the time he hit the junior year, there was literally nothing else for him to do, and so he kind of just turned whiny, because after you turn, you're the best at everything, where else is there to go? And I almost feel like I feel like he's hit this like peak. Like I feel like there's like he's good and he's proven it, but like I feel like there's not a challenge in front of him now. And so I think that that's part of where the attitude comes from.
Yeah. Well, he's going to have to figure out, he's going to have to try and keep it together, because right now he is leading the points. But we've seen Kyle, when he gets flustered, he starts getting in his head and starts making mistakes. We saw during the Coke 600, where he was going off on the radio every 15 seconds talking about, I'm going to quit and da-da-da-da-da-da. Dude, I need you to, I know the car sucks, but I need you to focus for me, please, so that we can at least salvage a good day out of this and move on to the next week. Because he is one of the guys that I would say he should probably be thinking Brian France, that he decided to come up with the chase, because he probably would not have, I'm not going to say probably, he would not have a championship without the chase right now. Because the only reason he got the championship was when he won 5 races after he missed the half of the year when he broke both his legs. So it's like, you do not have the temperament if the championship was the old way to win one. And he's proven it on several occasions now.
But I almost feel like it almost is incentive to go to the old way, just because at least then it has. I think if there was something else for him to set his bar on, I think that you would see a little bit different side of him, or at least more focus, because I think that's part of it now is literally he's just on any given Sunday, he's kind of just beating everybody, or he's at least in contention to beat everybody. And so, like I said, it's kind of, here's an example off of a different sport. It's kind of like the Patriots. Like, all of a sudden in this, like, they're winning everything. They've almost had a completely perfect season, except for when they lost the Super Bowl, and they were undefeated up until then. And it's then all of a sudden in this past series, like playoff year, they literally were like, oh, bet against us because, oh, big shocker, everybody doesn't want the Patriots to win. And so now they're like, oh, yeah, everybody wants us to lose. So, yeah, you better bet against us. And everybody's like, literally, we all just want you to lose because this is annoying. Like, I feel like he has the same exact mentality as, like, that team does as a whole. Like, when you're so good for so long, like, where do you go? You can't be humble at that point.
It's kind of like Mercedes in a way.
Yeah.
Also, can I just say, before we...
Actually, Toyota's not as big as a dick about it.
We're going to get into Mercedes and Toyota later, but I got to get this point off before we continue, because I got to digress to football. When they did that send-off for the Super Bowl, and the Patriots were talking about how everybody doubted them, I wanted to throw my remote through the TV. I'm like, from week 8, everybody was talking about, oh yeah, we're wrong. They're going to go win the Super Bowl again. Like, people were starting to call they're going to win the Super Bowl. They're like, oh, everybody was talking down on us, and they don't want us to win. Like, please shut up. I don't want to hear this, because y'all win literally every year and have a whole bunch of fans rooting on y'all to win. We don't like y'all because it's not because you win all the time. It's because you're prideful. And when people start becoming prideful winners, it's almost as bad as a sore loser, because you act like your S don't stink when it does. And a lot of people can't deal with that because it is grating like sandpaper. And it's unfortunate that we are in that situation with the Patriots. And then when you come over to Kyle Busch, and as I said, he's got Hall of Fame talent, but a starting park attitude. And that is a terrible, terrible combination. So NASCAR
But how do you change it? I guess that's my question, though. Like, where do we... Because, like I said, I mean, I can't blame him. Like, I feel like if I, like, literally, like, won everything, and he does it easily, which makes you, like, both envious and jealous and annoyed all at the same time. But,
I don't think there's a way to change it. I mean, he's too old now.
Change Kyle Busch.
It's Kyle Busch.
Here's another question. At this point, do you want him to change? Like, would you even believe it was authentic if he did? Because you can see, because there's driver Kyle Busch, and there is, like, dad/family Kyle Busch, because he is not driver Kyle Busch with his son.
Oh, no, they are great together.
You know what I mean? There's really is, like, this distinct, like, Darth Vader with helmet, Darth Vader without helmet kind of mindset to it. But I just don't know at this point, like, we're so used to him playing the villain that I just feel like if all of a sudden he tried to do anything, that it would feel false. It's kind of like Harvick after he came back from getting punished and having to go to, like, the anger management thing. Yeah. Like, there's for a while, or even Kurt Busch after he got in all his trouble and got threatened. Like, you can tell then at that point there's this, like, kind of air of insincerity about it, because now you're having to check who you are as a person.
Well, the problem with Kurt was with him is, like, the next incident, you're done. Like, he had gotten into so much trouble over, what was that, like a 2-3 year period? And then the thing with Driscoll happened, and it's like, I hope he doesn't get indicted, because this would be a horrible way for Kurt Busch's career to end, and we know how that whole drama ended. But it feels sincere from Kurt. Every now and then you will hear on the radio old Kurt slip out, but that's just racing a Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series car. It's stressful. So,
I mean, it is, but like I said, I don't know. I feel like Kyle Busch amplifies his personality. Like, I feel like he is not quite as villainous as he lets on to be. Like, I think if we just met, he would be a little bit different and probably a little bit more key. So I'm not saying that he's even truly 100% authentic in that range. Almost like, you know, how like when you're drunk, you say things like how like the filter comes off, how like, you know, like drunk words are like honest thoughts or whatever it is. Like, I feel like he kind of like pushes that boundary a little bit in that sense of it. But I don't know. I feel like if all of a sudden we got a nice Kyle Busch, like, I'd be like, who is this person? Because who is wearing the Kyle Busch suit? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like at this point, I'm so used to him being this way. Do I always appreciate it? Absolutely not. I roll my eyes far more than I should. And really, if I get too annoyed, I just watch that picture of him tripping that Junior, like, tweeted at one time, and, like, it makes it all better. But, like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like I've kind of accepted him for who he is at this point. He's the villain, and nobody likes it when the villain turns into the good guy.
Kyle is 34 years old. He's going to be who he's going to be. And NASCAR really only works if we have someone to cheer and someone to boo. And he has relished in that role as being the person to boo. So NASCAR is kind of split this week, as the Truck Series is off in Texas and the Cup and Xfinity Series is off in Michigan. You can see the Truck Series race at 9 p.m. on Friday on FS1 and MRN at 9 p.m. The Xfinity race will be at 1:30 on Saturday, the LTI Printing 250 on FS1 and MRN. And the Cup race will be at 2 p.m. The Firekeepers Casino 400 from Michigan will be on FS1 and can be heard on the radio on the MRN app. And before we go, we're going to give you the first look at the playoff standings as they stand now. If it were to start now, your seeds would look like this. Your top four would be Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr., and Joey Logano. 5th through 8th will be Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Kevin Harvick, Ryan Blaney. Kurt Busch, Kyle Larson, Clint Boyer, Alex Bowman, 8th through 12th. And the guys that are really hoping to either get some wins or move off this line, Eric Jones, Daniel Suarez, Eric Almirola, William Byron, they are in the danger zone if some of the guys behind them start picking up wins. And right now, the first guy who is out looking in would be Jimmy Johnson. He's currently sitting 17th behind teammate William Byron. So we got a little bit more time before these positions get locked in, but now it's a good time to start looking at where everyone would slot in if the playoffs were to start today. So we'll make our picks for nearest the win at the end of the show, and you also can make your picks for nearest the win. Just tweet out nearest the win with who you think is going to win this weekend's races in Michigan, Canada, and Texas for IndyCar, as well as the trucks. And the IndyCar Series will be racing at Texas Motor Speedway this weekend. So we'll be right back. When we come back, we're going to get into that IndyCar Series and talk about Will Power's no good, very horrible, very bad weekend. We'll be right back here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Two Wheels Wednesday is the place to come for all your motorcycle sports news every Wednesday on IE Sports Radio with myself, Matt White. All the latest news, rumours, race reviews and previews from World and British Superbikes and the big one, MotoGP. Two Wheels Wednesday, every Wednesday on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sport.
Hey USRN fans, do you have a product or company you're trying to promote? Look no further. USRN is teaming up with small local businesses trying to establish themselves via online promotion. Let us know if you're interested. Email us at usrnradio@gmail.com to learn more.
What up, all you boxing fans? This is Vince Wright, the sports governor, and me and Gilbert Batista are the host of Ringside on IE Sports Radio. Make sure you keep it tuned to IE Sports Radio, Spreaker.com for the latest edition of Ringside. All the boxing news you need right here. Keep it tuned, Spreaker.com, IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, IE Sports Radio proudly brings to you its intergender tag team champions of the world. Yes, I am Martin Sandoval. My co-host is Felicia, and we are the hosts of The Gorilla Position, live Saturday mornings, 8 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. We bring to you all the latest in news and rumors and opinions and perspectives on the world of professional wrestling. We bring you guys the latest in WWE, Ring of Honor, Impact Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and including independent wrestling such as Pro Wrestling Guerrilla and here VIP Wrestling live from Texas. Yes, it is The Gorilla Position with myself, Martin Sandoval, and my co-host Felicia, live on Spreaker.com and on iTunes.
We are back here on the Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm going to give a quick shout out as we come back into the program to the Sports Opinion Show with Alex Cuesta on Spreaker.com. And I thank him so much for supporting IE Sports Radio, and go check out his show as well. And during the break, we were discussing some things, Caitlin's questionable taste in movies included. And I kind of wanted to
stand by them.
I kind of wanted to bring this one out into the forefront before we continued. Caitlin is the first person who I've ever heard like the Battleship movie from a few years ago.
Love. We can't even say like. It honestly might be a top 5 movie for me. Easy top 10. Easy top 10 movie. I adore that movie in a stupid way.
You heard it here first, folks.
You can all hate me now. After everybody listens to this show, I'm going to have so many people unfollowing me on Twitter.
I just want to know how. Like, what is it about that?
It's so purely entertaining, and I love the, like, thought process of these aliens and, like, their weaponry. It's just so fun. And you got to admit, it's really, like, it's done well, though. It's not, like, crappy animation.
So you like giant donut wheels riding on the ocean?
Yes. Apparently.
The animation for
and like that like grill thing that like eats everything up. I don't know. It's just cool.
The CGI for that movie was the only thing I will say was decent.
Hey, Rihanna was great in it too, you know.
Sure.
Okay. I can feel the disrespect. I can feel it.
Let me tell Rihanna is
I'm cold underneath that shade he's throwing.
She's a great singer. She's a wonderful businesswoman, and she's probably a good actress. That movie was not it. It really wasn't.
So you didn't like that? You didn't like the drifting battleship?
Liam Neeson made that movie tolerable. If it wasn't for Liam Neeson, that movie would be completely forgettable. But Liam Neeson was decent in it.
But drifting battleship though.
I don't even remember that scene, so I don't even think I finished it the one time I watched it. I don't even know if I saw Battleship
you don't
drifting.
Gotta just watch the clip. Just watch the clip with Eurobeat over it. You'll be amazed. Okay.
Couch also said you liked the Pacific Rim movies. I liked Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
I never watched Pacific Rim.
You need to go see the first one. Uprising is not. It doesn't live up to the first one.
When the things fight, it's so cool.
Yeah, it is. Like,
okay,
you don't watch the.
Does it help
it's
that, like I grew up as like an OG Power Rangers girl.
I did too.
I loved OG Power Rangers.
Yeah, we love
Mighty
the Power
Morphin.
Rangers.
Like I honestly can't believe I don't have that tattooed on me. Like, let's be honest.
I'm an OG Power Rangers fan too. So when Pacific Rim came out, I was one of the first. My girlfriend and I were one of the first people to go see that movie, and it was great. So there's some. I will give you a pass on Pacific Rim. Uprising was okay. It didn't live up to the first.
Yes, the first one was better. Yeah. I will say I was too scared to watch like the comeback for the Power Rangers, like that happened a few years back. I've never watched it. It scared me.
It was
and I didn't want it to ruin my childhood. I was having a really hard time with that because like I saw the Power Rangers movie, like the original Power Rangers movie, like with Zordon and all that, and like
no, Caitlin. There's one scene that actually redeems everything, and that's when they all get in their mechs and then they play the freaking Power Rangers theme. It was amazing. Everybody got hyped.
Nice.
Everybody got hyped.
Because like I literally remember making my grandma take me to watch the Power Rangers movie in theater when I was a little girl.
Mm-hmm.
So I was so amped, and then I was like, I'm so scared it's gonna like ruin everything.
You see them rush into action, then you hear the Power Rangers music. You're just like, yeah.
Okay, that's really cool.
So let's continue. So, speaking of things that where the original is better than the sequel, the Detroit Grand Prix, which we would now have Lita.
That's a good lead-in.
Who was actually at the race to talk about it, but unfortunately, she is under the weather, and we just want to tell Lita, if you're listening, we miss you, and we hope to have you back next week, and we hope you enjoyed the Detroit Grand Prix and didn't get too waterlogged on Saturday. Because Saturday, once the sports car race ended for IMSA, which was a really good race, by the way. Again, Michael, sorry about Mazda being Mazda. Because they should have had the win on Saturday.
Oh, hold up. Can we at least agree on this? And if Lita's listening, we can. She can chime in on this too. Can we at least agree that Mazda isn't as big as a letdown as Ferrari this year?
Agreed, because you didn't have a lot. Coming into this season, you did not have a lot of expectations for Mazda. While for Ferrari, you're like, okay, this has got to be the year you beat Mercedes, right? So, I mean, I'm glad Mazda is with Team Yost is getting back to relevance. They just got to pull it together. Lord, let me get into that F1 segment, though. Let me move on, because I got enough piss and vinegar for 1 week that I don't want to get into that right now. Race 1 had a little bit of a controversy where they started late due to the torrential downpours and thunder, which IndyCar will race in the rain. They're not going to race in a thunderstorm. It's not safe for anybody. So this race
they're not
started.
Race in snow
the challenge at Belle Isle is that there's no storm shelters, so they actually had to evacuate the island, which is pretty crazy. Like minus like the main people, but all fans had to actually evacuate the whole island.
Yeah, so it was just not.
Because I had a buddy who was there for the race, and that's what he's like. Yeah, I had to get on the shuttle. It'd take us all off.
Yeah, so it's just not fun for anybody out there. There's no cover, and thunderstorms are just, they ain't fun, y'all. They really aren't when you're out in the middle of them. So that race ends up starting late, and there's a situation where there's an incident about 12 laps in, and the Andretti cars come in to change off the wets for the slick tires. And I was like, okay, we caught the caution. We're going to be able to catch up some spots here because they're going to close the pit lane for the caution. They don't close the pits before the field. They don't close the pits, so they keep them open. The field's not caught up, and the cars that would have been behind them end up pitting and staying in front of them. One of the cars, the two of the cars that were in it were Ryan Hunter-Reay. He was able to finish 5th. Poor Marco gets hosed. Ends up finishing 16th, and he was pissed. And I cannot really disagree with them because usually we group all the cars up and then we open the pits. I don't know why. I guess because they were under time constraints. They were trying to get this race in before they were trying to get the race in to the rule mandated time clock, and also try to get it in on NBC4 before they had to switch to CNBC. They were not successful. That started a headache for a lot of people. I'm like, look, they told y'all for 15 minutes where this race was going. I can't help you. They had to put the local news on. So I can't help you with that. But what did y'all think of the decision by the officials to not close the pits?
I just think it was a little... Not too often do I question IndyCar, and this had me questioning IndyCar. Not too often, and I mean, as anybody who spectates in NASCAR, you literally question NASCAR all the time. You're just like, really?
It's a weekly thing at this point.
Right? It's just a part of it. But when IndyCar, I've kind of gotten used to not really ever, or it's just refs calling anything in a game, in basketball even, or football. You're questioning everything. But I tend not to question that much when it comes to IndyCar. Most of the time I'm like, no, yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And this was one of those times that it kind of I paused. There was a pause button and I went, wait, what?
Yeah, it was one of those few weekends really where IndyCar made a bad call, and Michael, this was a call that really ruined the strategy of the Andretti cars.
Yeah, it just threw the whole strategy for them in a loop, and they weren't really able to recover.
One guy that was not able to recover this weekend was Will Power, because, man, did he have a rough weekend. In race 1, they have an issue with the wheel nut on, I believe it was the left front tire. Couldn't get that on. He ends up finishing 18th in that race because he had to make an extra pit stop to fix that. And then in race 2, I was looking for where he ended up finishing. He ended up stopping on track. He did actually rebound to finish 3rd, but Will had a rough weekend, especially in that race 1 with the pit stop issues.
What?
Sorry.
Yeah, no. It's just a horrible weekend for him in general.
Yeah. So it was a horrible race 1. Does rebound to finish 3rd in race 2. We ended up stopping on track due to an issue. Ended up bringing out a caution. It's been a weird situation with that Will Power car this year. I thought he'd be doing a little bit better, but it is what it is, unfortunately, with the way Penske's going. But 2 winners of the weekend were Joseph Newgarden. I got that one right.
Woo!
Thank goodness.
Even though I didn't pick him, I'm so happy for my little baby. Okay,
and
go
then
ahead.
Scott Dixon, who rebounded from crashing out in race 1, ends up winning race 2 and making some noise in the championship. So the 5-time champ rebounded well after mistaking race 1.
You know who I want to kind of acknowledge in race 2, though, outside of the race winner, is Marcus Ericsson. Like, where did he come from? All of a sudden, he was up there. I was like, wow. Okay.
Man.
It was kind of exciting to see, though. I mean, it was fun to see him, especially in somewhere like Belle Isle, where it's so hard to pass. He really did. I was impressed.
He had
Our little maybe mover and shaker of the race.
He had a decent 500 going, too, until he ended up spinning coming down into pit lane. Like, Ericsson is really taken to these Indy cars. He's hoping to stay in the series next year, and I'm hoping Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports, if I don't know when Robert Wickens will be back, if he'll be back, but if Robert Wickens gets in the car for next season, hopefully they'll be able to find a way to have him in a third car at least for half a season, if not a full season effort. Because Ericsson has done extremely well in these cars so far. He was the highest finishing rookie on Sunday, and as we go to the points, Ericsson is, as soon as I can get this working, he's actually 7th in the points right now, so he is the second highest of the... Oh, no, is he... No, he's... Sorry. I thought he was 7th. That was his card number. Never mind. I was doting on him. He was actually 17th in points, so never mind. But he's having a decent year for a rookie season. It's been consistent. I still think he can get a win before the season's out.
I think there's still hope for that. Absolutely.
So this weekend, the Indy cars are heading to Texas. The DXC Technology 600K. Practice is currently going on right now. The minute 7 left. Your top 5 in practice are, as soon as this website works for me, which it doesn't want to scroll the page. But I can tell you, Scott Dixon is fastest. And yeah, it's Scott Dixon, Takuma Sato, Graham Rahal, Charlie Kimball, and Will Power fastest. They're currently on a yellow flag situation with an hour, 7 minutes remaining in the session. Not sure why they're on yellow flag at this point, but this race can either be a snooze fest or half the cars can die, and there is no middle ground when it comes to Texas and IndyCar.
Yeah, I tend to like it a little more than I should, probably. But I'm always that person who's like secretly always kind of hoping for the slugfest anyway, because it's entertaining. And I feel like it's still, no matter which way you turn it with them, it's just fun to watch those cars on that track. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just, to me, like, when they're even just going, like, it's beautiful. I don't know why, but I love seeing them on that track. Like, to me, it's just good to watch.
So I just got an update as I was looking at Twitter. It is currently raining in Texas. That is why the yellow flag is out. And as we know, Indy cars, ovals, and rain they would not mix very well. No. So I'm not really sure which race we're going to get, really, because Indy is Indy. It is unlike any other oval race you see in IndyCar, and it used to be that we would have an oval before Indy, but with the way the schedule's changed, that is unfortunately no longer a thing. So I'm not sure what type of race we're going to get. And Michael, we're only a couple of years removed from the That's Adorable race where Tony Kanaan pretty much killed half the field.
Yeah, only a couple of years from that. Wonder what's going to happen again. You know, it's funny. You always think these open wheel drivers are more reserved than NASCAR drivers, but that race there was a different case.
Yeah, that was a race where we lost so many race cars. I mean, and I remember we came back talking about it afterwards. That was one of the most insane races I had ever seen in IndyCar. Now, the pack is probably going to be spread out a little bit more, so we won't be seeing that many pileups, but this should still be an exciting race. And you can see this event on Saturday at 8 p.m. on NBCSN and also heard on the Advanced Auto Parts Radio Network. Now, the Indy Star is reporting two interesting tidbits when it comes to IndyCar oval racing. The first is that IndyCar is currently beginning the process of negotiating a new contract with Pocono Raceway to be on for 2020 and beyond. And second, Richmond could be coming back on the schedule with an IndyCar NASCAR doubleheader with the Cup Series. Now, wouldn't that be exciting to have those two series running on the same weekend?
Yes. I'd be there for that.
I would definitely
be. Definitely interesting.
Yeah, that's not too far from Michael and I, so maybe we could go down there one day. If they decide to run it, hopefully they get some good traction on that. We'll be keeping up with that story as the two series seem to be trying to work together to pull some of these doubleheaders together. Hopefully, we get some news on that soon. Hopefully, a confirmation soon on a doubleheader between IndyCar and NASCAR somewhere in the future. But we are going to step out for just a little bit. You're going to hear Hot Laps with our good friend Matt White. And by the way, check out Grid Rating on Twitter, put together by Matt White. It is a global motorsports ranking system, and I think you're going to like it so much. So check out @Grid Rating on Twitter. And we're going to listen to the Hot Laps. When we come back, we're going to talk about Formula One, and supposedly Ferrari is going to have the advantage this weekend. We'll see if that's nonsense or not. We'll talk about whether that's going to be nonsense, and we'll be discussing that on the other side of this break. You're listening to IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Attention, all sports fans! If you're someone who wakes up each morning with lists of sporting events to go along with your to-do list for the day, then you just might be a diehard. The world of sports is as vast as the ocean is deep, including the major leagues, the minor leagues, the college, and everything in between. This is me, your boy Larry B of IE Sports Radio, welcoming you to join me every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on The Defining Moment, a show that focuses on what really matters in the sports world, sports themselves, and nothing outside of them. Once again, tune in for The Defining Moment with me, your boy Larry B, every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on IE Sports Radio, right here on Spreaker.com. We'll see you there.
From the home plate to the nets, the end zone to the finish line, here nothing is off limits and no sport is safe. Not what it seems with your host Caitlin Seam, bringing you sports like you've never heard before. Catch me Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, right here on IE Sports Radio. The only question is, are you ready?
Hi everybody, it's Calvin here from USRN, here to give you an important message. Since 2017, we have done our absolute best to provide you with nothing but the highest quality of sports calls in the greatest of quantity possible. Thanks to you, our station has grown more than we ever thought. That's why, with your help, we would like to grow even further. Just think, twice the amount of your favorite calls, 24 hours of coverage, talk shows, play-by-play, game-by-game analysis, and so much more. That's right, USRN2 is officially in development. But we can't do it alone. We have set up a GoFundMe page that you can access from our homepage on the left of your screen. We also are planning special giveaways and prizes to our highest donors. Our goal here at USRN is to bring you the best calls possible at no cost to you. In order to continue to do that, we need your help now. Please check out our GoFundMe page, and if you would like to know how you can help, you can email usrnradio@gmail.com. Without your support, we couldn't do what we do.
Welcome back to the Extra Mile here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and it's Matt here. It's time for Hot Laps and our nearest the win update. We'll start with the results from around the world of motorsport from the past weekend, and we'll start on Saturday with a double dose of sports cars. The 6 hours of Paul Ricard is the traditional warm-up for the Spa 24 Hours in the Blancpain Endurance Series. It was won by Bentley, Jordan Pepper, Stephen Kane and Jules Gounon taking the race victory. A bit closer to home for you guys in Detroit, Juan Montoya and Dane Cameron were the winners of the IMSA Sports Car race on Saturday afternoon. Also on Saturday, a win in the Xfinity Series on the last corner for Tyler Reddick. MotoGP was won by Danilo Petrucci, who took his first Moto2 victory of his career on home soil on an Italian motorcycle, the Ducati, on Sunday. WRC were back on European soil in Portugal. Oid Tanak for Toyota continuing his winning ways. Kyle Busch won the Cup race at Pocono, which scored Caitlin's team 2 points in nearest to win. But Larry B scored 4 points this weekend with his double pick winners in IndyCar of Joseph Newgarden and Scott Dixon. How he managed to do that, no one will ever know, but he now has 15 points to his name at the top of the nearest to win standings, ahead of Caitlin, who is on 12. Darrell is in third place, just behind her on 11. Matt Owens of USRN has moved on to 7 points. 6 points belong to Lolita and Pete Garofalo. Myself and Seth Eves are on 5. Couch Crew Chief is on 4, and Michael is on 3. We have a triple shot of nearest to win points up the ground again this weekend. IndyCar at Texas on Saturday night, and then on Sunday the Cup race is at Michigan, and Formula 1 is back at Montreal in Canada. Get your picks in using the hashtag nearest the win on Twitter to qualify. And let's see if we can reel Larry B in with his double IndyCar pick, which has got him a little bit of a lead at the top of the standings. Next week, more Hot Laps, more nearest to win updates. We'll be back with you for that on next week's Extra Mile. But for now, it's back to the rest of the crew.
Thank you so much, Matt, for that racing update. Oh my goodness.
Are you okay?
Yeah, that was the mic tumbling over. Hold on.
He's got the horses in the back.
Actually, we're gonna go to commercial. We'll be right back.
I got the horses in the back.
What happened?
I went to hold on.
NBA, college basketball fans out there, tired of hearing about just the dramatic stuff in basketball.
Sorry to cut Phil off there, but we got everything fixed. I'm so sorry about that. I actually knocked the microphone over and messed up everything. But we're back now. We're okay. And what I was going to say is Matt, I forgot that the 24 Hours of Nürburgring was last week, and Matt made mention of it, and I thought, it was like, oh, so it's coming up. Nope, it was on Saturday and Sunday, so unfortunately I missed it. I wouldn't have been able to watch it anyway because I was up in Hagerstown, but still, I actually like that race. 160 cars take on that racetrack. That is an amazing event. And while we're on the subject of 24-hour races, before we get into our final segment of the evening, first, I want to give a huge shout out to WSR on Mixler.com. Pierre Moss puts that together, and as well as the Boston Sports Podcast and Unwrapped Sports at unwrappedsports.com for supporting IE Sports Radio. Also, check out Matt White's grid rating on Twitter, and also want to get into some brief news about the 24 Hours of Le Mans coming up next week. Toyota, in the equilibrium of technology, the biggest quotation marks in motorsports today, right now, they're going to have a one-lap advantage when it comes to how long they can stay out on fuel compared to their petrol-powered competitors in the P1 privateer category. And my question is, if we're going to have something called EOT, why are we allowing Toyota a one-lap advantage when we already know they're faster than the privateers at this point? Like, really, guys?
Because reasons.
I mean, like, I'm happy for Toyota. They finally got the monkey off their back, although they were the only car in their category, and this just happened to be the 1 year the two cars held together. Is it bad that I'm just hoping that we get the Toyota of old where the cars just burst into flames in the middle of the night just to make it a better race?
I want to see Rebellion win as much as the next guy, but they don't got to burst into flames. Come on now.
I just want an actual race in P1 this year. Because there's not going to be one if the Toyotas are bulletproof. So something's going to have to happen to the Toyotas, and that's kind of sad. But it is what it is, the way the technology is. And there's another series that way where we're hoping that the top two cars have something happen to them. And that is Formula One as they head into the Canadian Grand Prix this weekend, where the Mercedes guys are trying to tell us that, oh, Ferrari's engine's going to be stronger than us on the straightaway. However, Ferrari said in an article on motorsport.com that they have no improvements coming to their struggling car for the foreseeable future, while Mercedes is bringing an engine upgrade to Canada, which Valtteri Bottas says still won't make us as fast as Ferrari in the straights. And Lord is my witness, I bet I could see the fingers crossed behind his back at this moment. I'm just going to cut to the chase, y'all. Is this going to be anything other than yet another Mercedes 1-2 this weekend?
You know, I don't understand why Ferrari actually came out and said that. Like, oh yeah, we don't have any engine programs coming up this year. Why did you say that? Why?
I
why?
wish I had an answer for that. I would be telling
that was
my
the stupidest press thing I've ever heard them say. Like, really, guys? Really? Come on now. You could like it would have been better if you just baited us and say, "Oh yeah, we got a big upgrade coming in. We're gonna be competing with Mercedes again." Mm-hmm. And then you're just like, "Oh yeah, we don't. We really don't." And it's just like, why are you continuing with this cycle of disappointment? Okay, you're like modern movies nowadays. You just watch it and you know you're gonna get disappointed.
Mm-hmm.
It's like watching Mazda try to win. You know it's not gonna happen.
I mean, if that was supposed to placate and pacify the Tifosi, that did not work. If I'm the Ferrari faithful, I am absolutely run around like a chicken with my head cut off that this is going to be another disappointing weekend for my team.
I'm already starting to think, golly, man, do I even want to watch the rest of the season? Do I? Do I really?
Well, we have to for the show, so yes.
The only reason I would want to watch is just to cheer on maybe Renault and maybe Red Bull and Toro Rosso, but that's about it. I have to cheer on midfield teams, goddammit.
I mean, it's gotten so bad that F1 Reddit has made a weekly post of the Formula 1.5 winners, which are the Formula 1.5 standings, which is the top 3 of the teams not named Red Bull, Ferrari, or Mercedes. And I think it was Magnussen that won it in Monaco, but that is how bad the state of Formula One has gotten at this point. And Lewis Hamilton came out during the week as they were asking when he would want to see an F1, and he talked about, the cars need to be harder to drive, and if it was up to me, we'd have manual transmissions and V12s, and it's like, dude, we're not going back 30 years in technology. So, 1, that's not going to happen. 2, thanks for giving credence to all the V12 or bust idiots come running out the woodwork again, because it's not like they aren't annoying as it is, thinking that that's going to save F1 instead of pushing all the manufacturers away because no one's building a V12 engine at the moment, and with everyone trying to go towards hybridization anyway, putting up a highly fuel inefficient, unreliable engine just because it sounds nice doesn't really help keep people in your sport. But I don't know, I'm just a podcaster. What do I know?
I read this post on motorsportmagazine.com, and I found out, I'm gonna see while I'm talking about it, I'm gonna see if I can pull it up. But I found out that Porsche is actually interested in joining F1.
Well, here's what happened with that article. I saw that article as well. They have an F1 engine, and they've been doing some cursory work to it. But when the talks broke down in 2018 about the less complicated engines, Porsche pretty much pulled all support for a official bid into Formula One at this point. Now, that doesn't mean we won't see them later, possibly, but we do know that they have an engine that they've at least been working on, which is a good sign, but it's a question of...
It's a good sign, but...
Will they be able to get anything done to actually get them
and
in?
I think what F1 needs is more manufacturers.
Yes, not less.
It needs more manufacturers, it needs more... And those manufacturers will bring more teams, and those teams will bring more privateer teams. And it's like, I think F1 is just heading down. I think it's just pulling, I don't want to say pulling a NASCAR, but it really feels like it's pulling a NASCAR.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, they need to get off their high horses, reduce the cost of the engine, reduce the complexity of the engines, and just bring in more manufacturers, because part of me is just hoping that I see a news article that says a new team is joining F1. I want to see Porsche. I want to see Audi, even though they've been rumored for like 7 years now.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see I want to see Chevrolet. I want to see Ford. Whoever. It's just they need new teams. They really do. And the funny thing is, Porsche is pulling on Mercedes. Mercedes has been developing their engine for years now, and now we know that Porsche has been developing an engine. We could have had Porsche versus Mercedes versus Ferrari versus Red Bull by now.
But I almost feel like that Mercedes doing what they're doing right now and seeing how much Ferrari and Red Bull are, even as the top tier teams, are struggling to keep up with them, I feel like it's going to make other developers hesitant, because it's like, okay, unless we coming in as a newbie can put millions upon millions of dollars into this new program to get back what we're going to put into it, you know what I mean? Like, where is the incentive at that point?
Mm-hmm.
So I almost feel like that is like the success of Mercedes, and by success I mean the total world domination of Mercedes, is literally holding them back from developing other teams.
Well, I'll tell you where manufacturers are looking. They're looking at Honda and Renault. how long has Renault been back as a works team, and they haven't been able to really be relevant as a works organization? How long has Honda been back in the sport as an engine manufacturer? And we saw everything that went with the McLaren debacle. Now they're with Red Bull, and it's at least decent, but it's not, anywhere near where it should be. So they're looking at those two teams like, well, why are we going to go do this? We're going to sink all this money in just to be a midfield team at best. So that's keeping
There's
a lot of people out the sport.
Nobody goes into anything to be mediocre.
No.
Absolutely not.
Mediocrity is not the goal. And right now, Mercedes is kind of telling everybody that, yes, that is your only goal. So because if somebody as established as Red Bull, somebody as established as Ferrari, somebody as established as even Renault, if none of them can even get within touching distance of Mercedes, where is the incentive to come in as a newbie and give it a shot?
There's absolutely no point.
I'm 110% positive that I can give Mercedes a run for their money every race, I'm not going to be there.
No.
And I think that's the problem. I think that's where we're at and why we're not seeing any new people. And while the new blood for teams would be amazing for a shakeup and could draw in more attention, I think that the problem is until F1 figures out some way to cap things to control this a little bit more, if that's what they want, then we're not going to see anything but what we're seeing now. And we're not going to see anybody new come in because there's no reason for them to. Because at that point, you're literally just blowing money.
Yeah, and there are so many changes, and people want F1 to go down these highly expensive, low to no reward routes, like bringing the V10s and V12s back. Like, guys, I was 6 once too, and the V12s were awesome, but they ain't coming back. We gotta get over it. They have to find a way to make the Formula One system appealing to manufacturers to where it matters, or where they can help influence what they're trying to do on the road side of things by testing things at the bleeding edge of motorsports performance, while also making it affordable enough to where they want to spend the money to be competitive. Because at this moment, I'm not spending all this money to pull a Caterham or a Manor or a Haas where you're just barely running at the back end of the mid-pack. I'm not spending F1 money. What do you think it costs? Like 24 million euros, I think, to come into the sport just to be in for 4 years and be gone. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, exactly. And until you can solve that kind of problem, it's not going to make any difference.
Yeah.
Because again, there's no incentive for anybody to waste that kind of money doing that. If I have that many millions of dollars to spend, I'm not going to go put it into Formula One where I'm maybe lucky if I get a podium, definitely not going to win with Mercedes going. At that point, we should be seeing them roll more into IndyCar where there's a much more chance of being fruitful and rather quickly in.
Yeah. And IndyCar is desperate for a third manufacturer at this point, which we might get one here soon. I mean, heck, I'd even go to NASCAR before I'd go into Formula One.
Oh, jeez.
I can definitely say IndyCar would be my top choice.
I mean, IndyCar would be my top choice. NASCAR would probably be my number 2 if I got a stock car. Maybe IMSA, but I wouldn't go to Formula One.
Until the GT1s come from.
NHRA could be fruitful if you have a very successful driver.
NHRA is completely different.
This is true. So I did put it on my show because I actually got a video. But speaking of NHRA, really, really quick. So a buddy of mine, he was just multi-traveling, went to the Saturday race and IndyCar at Belle Isle, and then he went to the NHRA race on Sunday in Chicago. And I actually got a video sent to me from Angel Sampe, the 3-time Pro Stock Motorcycle champion. She did like a little shout-out video for me.
Nice.
Mostly she called me out for not being there, but it was really cool.
Steve Torrance actually liked a tweet of a message of mine on Facebook because some guy was giving them crap about how it sucks seeing one person win in top fuel all the time. And I said, well, the other 15 cars got to beat them then. And then got a thumbs up from Steve Torrance, which that is a wild story from 12 months that I was...
Why you blocked me, Steve Torrance?
Yeah, for some reason we were accidentally blocked on Twitter by him. Thanks to Couch, got unblocked, and now Steve is just kicking butt right now. So NHRA has been a lot of fun. I know we don't talk about it on this show a lot because we just don't have a lot of time with all the motorsports between NASCAR, Formula One, and IndyCar that we got to get covered. So unfortunately, NHRA has been pushed to the back burner for now. But yeah, Steve's absolutely killing it. Won his 4th final round in a row, and that team just doesn't know how to lose at this point. So the Capco boys are killing it in top fuel. That is without a doubt. But heading into this weekend, when it comes to Formula One, it's hard to be jazzed up about this race because of how dominant Mercedes has been. And I'm a Lewis Hamilton fan and still not jazzed up about it, but this is one of the most dominant eras we've seen since Ferrari at the turn of the century, where they absolutely killed everybody with Michael Schumacher and Rubens Barrichello, especially the F2004, which some people regard as the best Formula One car of all time, where they just wiped the floor with everybody.
Yeah, it's... Again, I mean, we've seen this kind of domination in other sports, but it is a little bit mind-boggling to see it happen in racing. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, if you think about it, there's so many other cars, that technically can beat you. And it literally, there's no... I'm, literally speechless. I don't have words for the type of domination that Mercedes is putting on everybody else right now. Mm-hmm. It's mind-blowing. Literally at this point, the bets in Vegas should be, will anybody be able to win a race this year other than Mercedes? And at the way we're going, it's starting to look like the answer to that is no.
Unless the MGUK explodes on both of those cars in transit, they are not going to lose a race this year. I really don't. Unless they have serious engine issues, it's going to be crazy.
Or if they have all of a sudden Bottas and Hamilton have completely off days. Mm-hmm. One's sick and then the other one sneezes going around turn 4 and wrecks.
Right.
There's no... That or Grosjean ends up figuring out a way to wreck them. One of the two.
Well, who was that? That was Lita last week that said they got to figure out a way to get Kvyat to finish 3rd and just tell him, you see those 2 Mercedes cars, or you see those 2 silver cars? We don't want to see them in turn 2. And then just let things play out the way that they usually do when it comes to Kvyat. But I mean, I'm still trying to be jazzed up with the Formula One season, but it's hard, guys. It really is hard to fake it. Because it's not good right now.
Well, and the thing is that too, it would be more understanding if they kept winning, but it was tight racing. Mm-hmm. That it literally was we have a side-by-side finish, or if there was closer racing and they managed to still eke out wins, I'd be okay with it at that point, because at least we're getting something from it. Mm-hmm. But at this point, you almost don't even have to watch the races anymore. You already know what's going to happen.
Yep.
So I feel until there's some incentive, you know what I mean? It's yeah, fine. If Mercedes keeps having to win, at least give us some entertainment in the process. Give me something to get excited about.
Right.
What is Driven to Win going to be next season at this rate?
I'm interested. Well, if Mercedes and Ferrari aren't in it, I'm interested in the Ricciardo saga over at Renault. I'm also interested in what's going on with Haas as well for that season. Also, the new team with Racing Point and Stroll moving over there with his dad's team. And also, I'm also interested in the existential crisis that is Claire Williams trying to save her father's team. So there are some things I'm excited about when that comes up next year. So I definitely will be tuning in. It's just, you just wish it was more of a who's going to win the championship type thing.
Yeah.
Oh, most definitely.
Also, I still
maybe every race should be a reverse poll. Like you qualify and then they throw it into reverse. So that Hamilton has to start at the back of the pack every race.
Yeah, but then they would just run worse in qualifying so they can start up front.
But what if you don't know? What if it's one of those sneaky things? Didn't they do that in like the All-Star race or something? And they like drew it and like randomly and like that from like that car whatever had to like shuffle.
Oh, so like the redraw they do at Hagerstown for the features.
Yeah. Something. That might be entertaining.
Yeah.
Or like from points. Or what if they did it that there was no qualifying, it's points order, and then it's reverse points order. Then there's no incentive to be worse because then you'd be losing points in the system, like on the standings. So then you wouldn't want incentive to qualify worse. Like just take out qualifying. Here we go. Caitlin has fixed Formula One. We're going to take out qualifying altogether. And where you are in the point standing is how you line up for the race, but in reverse.
Right.
So that literally Hamilton will have to start at the last place every race. That would be entertaining. Tell me this wouldn't be entertaining, guys.
I mean,
because then you would at least have to watch him for 3 laps go in and out of cars.
We would at least see some overtaking for a little while.
We would. At least for like 3 laps.
Yeah.
Come on, this is not an awful idea. I've had worse ideas.
I actually think this is a good idea. I actually like it.
I actually think it's a good idea myself.
Yeah.
But before
Let's start like a GoFundMe page to petition Formula One.
Move Caitlin to head of F1.
Bam.
Please. So the Canadian Grand Prix can be seen on ABC this Sunday at 2:10 p.m. So enjoy that. And now it's time for us to get ready to get up out of here. But first, we got to make some picks. We've got Texas, the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Canada, and as well the Michigan International Speedway to pick races for. I've got Kyle Larson. I think Kyle Larson gets it. No, not Kyle Larson. Excuse me. I'm going to take Chase Elliott for Michigan as he is on a hot streak right now at 5 straight top 5s. I have no idea who I'm taking for Canada. Well, Canada, I'm taking Bottas. And I have no idea who I'm taking for Texas. We'll go Rossi, see what happens. Who do you guys got?
See, like, IndyCar's hard because I don't want to jinx, like, my dudes. I'm going to jinx them, though, anyway. I'm going to go Newgarden for Texas just because I feel like with the surge coming off of the win from the first Belle Isle race, and he really is still trying to get momentum for the year. But I think that might help him swing a little bit. And also, if there's not any track that Joseph needs redemption for, it's Texas, because that's where he got into that accident where he broke his, like, hand and everything.
Yeah.
Was there. Nasty race. So I'm going to go Newgarden. I'm going to go Bottas because it's literally just switching back and forth since we can't do the same driver. And we picked Hamilton last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Bottas, because I think I'm on the same swing as you. And then NASCAR. I don't know. I mean, as much as I hate to admit it, Chase Elliott is a good pick.
Mm-hmm. He's running well so far.
He is. And as annoying as it would be, I could see him winning there. I'm going to go ahead and pick him for now. I might change my mind, but off of first swing, because it's tempting to pick Kyle Larson there, but he literally is like on a mission to not do well.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what's going on.
I was going
with
to pick Larson. I'm like, this isn't going to go well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I'm following suit. We're going to jinx Elliott this weekend. So Newgarden, Bottas, Chase Elliott.
Yep. Michael, who you got?
I'm gonna go with Lauren Truex, and I'm gonna go with Marcus Ericsson
And Formula One.
Lewis Hamilton. Screw it.
Ericsson.
Ericsson, he did run well in Indianapolis until the end.
He did.
Yeah, so maybe luck will be on my side this weekend.
So that will wrap this episode of The Extra Mile. Remember, you can check out Caitlin's show, Not What It Seems, right before this one at 5 p.m. here on Spreaker.com/IESportsRadio. As always, you can catch my writings on WBGRnetwork.com. Just got to update, or just posted an article recently about the Hub City 100 that was run at Hagerstown this weekend. That is up on the website that you can check that out now. Also, check out IE Sports Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Make sure you like and share this recording on YouTube as well. And also, if you've missed any episode of any IE Sports Radio show, you can check us out on Stitcher, iTunes, the Spreaker Show Reel, and other places where podcasts can be heard. Trying to make sure that I said everything in my goodbyes before we have to get ready to go. And all right, we didn't have Lita here, so I have to say that part as well. And also remember to watch out and like our social medias on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter as well. So for Michael and Caitlin, Lita, we will see you next week. We miss you so much. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr. This has been The Extra Mile, and we will see you at the next green flag. Good night, everybody.